All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 219 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill, admin on the FAQ message board. This is our final show for the year. You've made it this far. See it through. Watch us to the end of this episode. I'm joined today by 69th Blizzard Ken.
Hello.
St. Louis Kiss Lonnie.
What's up?
And the Wheeze Daniel.
Hello.
So, we got some news to go through. First of all, let's go with... well, I guess it's kind of getting publicized today. Gene Simmons' Vault. There's a fresh start for the Vault coming in 2019. You can see some of what's planned by going to genesimmonsvault.com. There are Vault options without the meet and greet available. There are also suggestions of additional Vaults being held during the tour. But one thing I do know is that Gene and the Vault folk are grateful for everyone who participated in the Vault during 2018 and look forward to a fresh start in 2019. So as someone who did the Vault, all I can say is check it out. I'm still enjoying mine now, and I haven't been paid to say that. So I'd also like to personally thank everyone who supported the Gene Simmons Vault supplement throughout the year. I've done several printings. Okay, I've done numerous printings. And each one has been rapidly consumed by Vault owners and those who don't have the Vault. So thank you very much. You've made it worthwhile, the effort putting it together, and I very much do appreciate it. There's a new Kindle version available. You're going to have to look at your documentation for how to update a Kindle book, because I have no fucking clue. And they wouldn't tell me how. They just said it's on the web. So I assume it is on the web. But good luck for that. And thanks to Nils. And I'm just going to pimp this one last time this year for for doing the fantastic artwork for the final version. That really is the final version. And I'm going to pause for 1 second while I pick up all that shit that I do need for the rest of this show. So all that stuff that just fell over was our final giveaway for the year, or our first giveaway for next year, depending on how you want to look at it. And the first giveaway for 2019 will be a copy of the proof version of the final non-pretty cover of the Vault supplements, and it's going to come with a 5x7 photo of Gene with everyone's favorite Fox, Eric Carr, signed by Gene at the Gene Simmons Vault in LA in January. Of course, the photo that comes in all of them, and a pic. KissFAQ pick, not a Gene Simmons pick. So if you want to win that, we'll have to watch the rest of the show to find out how to enter that competition. I will remember to say it this time. Entries have to be received by midnight on January the 3rd, 2019, and the drawing will be held probably the following day. I didn't mention that the last time I did a giveaway. Felt like a real idiot, but what's new? All right, let's move on. Other news. Paul Stanley in the studio with Soul Station. There's going to be a Soul Station album. No new Kiss music, but a new Soul Station album. Any just initial thoughts on that, Daniel?
Well, I think it's always nice with some Kiss-related material. So I guess I'll take it, but it's nothing I'm really looking forward to. Hearing the band performing live, Soul Station, it's a lot about the background singers, and but with some studio magic, maybe we can get one or two tracks that are pretty enjoyable. And I always love a studio version with some Paul Stanley vocals, so there can be something there, maybe.
Very nice. Let's go to someone who shook their head. Ken.
Okay. Am I the only one who shook their head?
No.
Okay. What? Okay. Is there a market for this album? Because
no,
we've been told that there's no market to do a Kiss album. No one's going to buy it anyway. Why are they doing a Soul Station album then? I just don't get that. And I guess the only other reason is they're not doing a Kiss album is because Paul Stanley can't sing enough to do a Kiss album. Now, having said that, he can still do a Kiss album. He can still write songs, but have Gene, Tommy, and Eric sing the vocals. He can write songs for Tommy to sing or for Eric to sing. Why not? Why not do that? If that's the issue, if his voice is the issue for singing a Kiss song. But I don't want to really hear the Just a Boy falsetto for a whole album. I really don't. I mean, he sings well in the falsetto, but that's not what I want to hear from Paul. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't either. I don't want to hear that either. But having that or having nothing, I'll take the Soul Station album.
So you're desperate, in other words.
Yes.
I think I probably fall into a similar boat as Daniel in that it's better than nothing. And to be honest, I'm very curious to see what he does. Is it what we've seen on YouTube, or is it something else? Is it Paul Stanley has written some songs that are in a R&B vein? Is it plastic soul, or whatever you want to call it? What is it? It's not going to be Blue-Eyed Soul. Daryl Hall would not approve. But what is it, and how? I don't want to judge it just by going into I would rather have a Kiss album than or nothing, because I just don't know. I don't think I have enough information to kind of judge it from the YouTube videos. So what can be done in the studio is a completely different creature than what we've maybe seen so far. So I'm actually fascinated, but I totally agree with Ken. I don't want to hear an album full of basically just a boy vocals. It's going to need to have something original. It's going to, the musicians and the players involved are all badasses. So, that doesn't frighten me in any sense of the word. But it's kind of funny that news came out while I was listening to All for One. So, yeah. right in the middle of that. Ding. Okay. Lonnie, Soul Station.
I agree with you guys. I'll take it just for the simple fact that it's better than nothing. I'm not looking, it's not something I'm going to have circled on my calendar, counting down the days. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go out and purchase this. Even though I will go out and purchase it, it's not something that's going to get me excited. And I don't think it's going to move the meter very much at all. I mean, because who's going to buy it? Kiss fans, like people watching the show, people on the show. I don't think just people of Motown are going to go, oh yeah, I want to go get that. I don't see the market for it. I don't see a big market for it outside of just hardcore Kiss fans are going to go buy it just for the simple fact that Paul Stanley's name's slapped on the front of it.
Yeah, just like a Paul Stanley cookbook or Backstage. Hints for a Better Life by Paul Stanley.
On the other hand, I think it's great if this is what he feels like doing, he should be doing it. He shouldn't half-ass a Kiss album again and do 4 or 5 mediocre songs. If he's into soul music at this time, I think it's an honest move from his side. He knows it won't sell, so I think it's good for him. It's at least better than those ugly shoes he did the other month. Puma. I mean, I have a great idea. I'll just take something from '84 and put it on a shoe, and what a great inventor I am. That's just silly. It's just fucking silly.
If he's in the studio, I hope he doesn't wear out his voice for the tour coming up.
Yeah.
But maybe he won't need to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a quick question. Who owns a pair of Paul Stanley Pumas? Lonnie, do you have Pumas? You do?
I do not.
I do not. I got the Pumas, yes.
I can't wear those.
We're too old for them.
I'm too old. That's exactly right.
Silly.
I'm too old.
Reserving it for the concert.
Actually, let's first just mention the Kiss World vinyl, which is coming out. There's, I think, a couple of versions. Regular black vinyl is in the Kiss store, and colored vinyl is on the Universal Sound of Vision, whatever fucking site, and it's kind of
You Discover or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's coming out. That was a Europe-only compilation that was released in 2017. It has a pretty weird track list. Go to kissmonster.com and check out the discography there for details on that. It doesn't have Deuce on it. Has some non-makeup stuff. Has, a little bit of everything. So they're just throwing it out there, and it's going to be released as a CD in the U.S. as well in January, with the vinyl following in March. Just quick takes on that. What are your thoughts on that? Is that the right product to tie in with the tour, or is it just a lazy universal throwaway that you're going to buy anyway, Ken?
Yeah, I bought it already, at least the colored vinyl. But it is lazy. It is lazy. It's something that was already out on CD, so they're going to re-release it on CD. But yes, they're putting it on vinyl, which is cool because it wasn't ever on vinyl. It'd be interesting, how well that is moved over to vinyl. I'm guessing it's just going to be some kind of digital vinyl transfer, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I would have rather had something else or a new compilation, even a new compilation. Of some sort, different would have been cool, but it is what it is. We get.
Lonnie, any interest? You're gonna buy the vinyl? Don't give a shit.
I bought the CD in 2017, and I'll buy the vinyl. I mean, it's what I'm into. It's the music, you know what I mean? So I'll definitely go out and get it. I'll get the colored version and pick it up. At the same time, I think it's a lazy effort. It's just throwing something out there that they created for the UK a couple years ago when they toured. The track listing is interesting to release a product like that in the United States, leading off with Crazy Crazy Nights. I mean, just the fact that it leads off with Crazy Crazy Nights is just, you can totally tell that it was made for the UK. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too that I read a whole article the other day that why Deuce isn't included in this new compilation. So, but I'll get it. It's cool. It's, we had mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago that we thought they might put out a possible compilation. We all kind of rolled our eyes at the idea, and they did, and they took about the laziest route possible by taking something they've already released overseas and just say, "Oh, here's a new album." Well, not really. I already have it. So, but I'll buy it on vinyl for sure. I mean, why not?
Daniel?
Well, am I the only one who won't buy this one? I think it's too bad that fans are buying this kind of stuff. Even though I understand if you're a collector and you want to have everything, but you just have to take one look at the cover and then you understand that this is some lazy, lame stuff they're doing. I mean, that cover is one of the worst ever from my point of view. And this thing with compilation albums, we've all said it before, but the last time I was excited about a compilation album was back in the early 90s when I found Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits in a bin in Bournemouth, England. And like, ooh, this is great. And then after that, I don't know. I recall when they were on the reunion tour and friends of mine were buying this Greatest Kiss album, if you remember. I think it was released in 97. And I told them, man, go and get double platinum. It's the same album, but half the price. It's even a better album. And that's the way I feel about this one. You could rather go a different route and buy something that has already been released. But it's better than nothing, once again.
Better.
That's the common refrain of million Kiss fan. It's better than nothing. I just think it's a missed opportunity. Yeah, it's a missed opportunity to use the new photo shoot on the cover, which I think would look excellent to tie in with the tour. But you know what? I don't doubt that there'll be something in time for the European leg, and maybe this is just a stopgap because it's already been kind of sorted out in Universal System. The tracking and all that, the mastering is all done, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay any executive or compilation producer or anything. It's just done. And you know what? It's a very broadly diverse set list or track listing. Everything from, as Daniel says, starting off with Crazy Crazy Nights through God Gave Rock and Roll to You, Lick It Up, Heavens on Fire, Tears Are Falling, Unholy, followed by Hard Luck Woman. That's going to be, including I'm a Legend Tonight, Modern Day Delilah, and Hell or Hallelujah. So very, very interesting. I think the vinyl itself looks good, and you know what? My Hysteria box set has space in it, so yes, I'm gonna buy the fucking thing. I don't care. I'm not gonna open it. I'm not gonna drop the needle on it. So that's completely irrelevant from that point of view. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about what we're gonna talk about today. End of the year, naturally, it's going to be our wrap up. What are your top kisses from the year? What's your one lump of Kiss branded koal, the one thing that didn't quite meet your expectations? And finally, what is the one thing that you'd really, 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 really like in 2019 other than Kiss World on vinyl?
Damn.
And I guess the first question in which to approach that is, how did you approach that question? Did you rank your items, or did you just lump them all in and say, I can't pick a top one? The way I kind of did it was I threw down all my things and I just decided what are the top two. Because everything else, it's been a very good year for me personally as a Kiss fan. It's very hard to kind of rank things. It's like picking a favorite child. You're just not supposed to do that and admit it in public. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick my top two, and the rest of them are kind of random. Daniel, how did you approach the question?
Well, I did it in a similar way. To me, I have one or two standouts, and of course, I wasn't at the cruise, and I wasn't attending the Gene Simmons wall thing like you. So I guess you have a few more interesting personal experiences. So I had to take a look at products and performances that I've seen in other ways. So I have one or two big things, and then some more stuff that I think was pretty good this year.
Yeah, and that's the key to top kisses. It doesn't have to be something that you attended personally. It could be something that leaked. It could have been something that you bought. It could be even something that you saw on YouTube. It doesn't matter. A kiss is a kiss. Well, we won't go there. Ken, how did you kind of rank yours?
I don't know if I really ranked them. I don't know if they're really ranked. They're a little bit ranked, but I just came up with things that I enjoyed really, during the year. Whether we'll go over it later, but just things that I was kind of grateful for or happy that they happened during the year, or something. Maybe it's something I bought. Maybe just things like that. So.
Oh, perfect. I hope you remind me of a few things that I forgot to mention on my list. Lonnie, how about you? Did you put yours in order, or are they kind of jumbled?
I didn't put them in order. I kind of went through the year chronologically as the year progressed. Like, what did I do in January? Well, I went to the Atlanta Kiss Expo in January, and I was like, okay, what happened in February? What came out? What did I do? I just kind of went through the year chronologically and just came up with my list in that manner, not really ranked in any kind of order or anything like that.
What did you do in January? You were stuck in line waiting.
I was stuck in line for 9 hours.
And when you weren't in line, you were stuck behind a table waiting for Julian to come back with another beer for himself.
Or telling my wife, go get me and Julian in a beer, and I got a death stare.
Yep, but it was good beer, and it was appreciated.
It was good beer in the end.
Thank you, Becky. We owe you. All right, let's get into some of these picks. Daniel, why don't we start with you on your first pick for the best of 2018?
Okay, I'll pick. It's always, we've been into this already somewhat. New music is what we're really looking for, and I guess most fans have almost given up on new Kiss music, so we'll take anything, even Soul Station. But Ace Frehley's album for me is one big thing this year. Not because I liked it particularly, but I feel it's always good to have an album from a former Kiss member that at least is in the vein of Kiss's music, It's a rock album, and he did his best. I didn't like it that much, but there were some moments that you felt like you were listening to the old days, and so him release and the fact that he's releasing albums pretty frequently these days is awesome. And I do hope he releases one or two more before he calls it the quits. So the Ace Frehley album, even though it's not one of my favorites, I think just the idea of an original member releasing a rock album is pretty big in the Kiss world. So I'll pick that one.
Nice pick. I don't even have that on my list. So, yes, new music is good, whoever it comes from. Ken, how about you? Let's have your first pick.
Yeah, well, I'll remove Ace's album from my list because that's Daniel took that. So I agree with Daniel on that one. So I won't even mention that anymore, but I agree with him on that album. I'm just going to go with a big one for me, which was the Gene Simmons Vault Experience. That was at the beginning of the year, and that was just one of the best things I've ever attended, Kiss wise. I mean, it's not a Kiss concert or anything, but almost in a way, since we had Ace, Eric Singer, Bruce Kulick, on stage with Gene, and it was fantastic. And I finally got a picture with Gene, of course, but I got a picture with Ace Frehley. I got a picture with Bruce Kulick. I got a picture with Eric Singer. So I crossed those all off my list, and just to hang out with like Julian while we were down there, and other Kiss fans. It was really cool. I mean, it was an all day thing. It's a long day, but it was well worth it. And finally getting my vault was worth it in the end down the road when it finally got to me. So that's really my biggest and best thing of the whole year. It was that, and it was well worth it.
I guess I have to jump in and say that that's also on my list, and that is my number 2 pick, and that is the only one, other than number 1 that I ranked in terms of what has occurred to me for very many of the same reasons as what Ken mentioned. I mean, number 1, hanging out with a bunch of really awesome Kiss fans for 8 or 10 hours.
It was something like that.
It was a long day, ending up in kind of the ad for the Vault as well, the Keys of the Kingdom, and just off the cuff asinine comments that I was making because I had no idea someone's going to come up and ask me any questions with a camera in my face. Eric Singer busting my balls is always hilarious for me. I just, it tickles me pink. But getting a picture with him and Bruce was just absolutely brilliant. Wasn't expecting it. Wasn't expecting to have the opportunity to get the best photo. I will never get another photo with Ace. Because I've done that. I will never get a better one than the photos with Ace I got that day, because he was just so relaxed. He was just so, down to earth. He was not out in space. And Gene that day, I mean, obviously it was the first Vault. I was Vault number 2 of the whole Vault experience. You were number 3. So we had different experiences than what it later became. But Gene was just awesome. And again, one of the people I will call an MVP for 2018, Keith Valcourt, in making it all run smoothly, and being the guy who was abused by many people, being the guy you could go to with questions, being the guy who gave 100% of his body and soul into making it the very best that he could within the limitations that he was under. Absolutely fantastic. So that was my number 2 pick. Lonnie, what about you?
I alluded to it earlier, but probably the best experience I had all year, even though I came on the show and complained about it the next week about waiting in line to meet Vinnie Vincent, was going to Atlanta for the Kiss Expo down there. It's still something that amazes me that it even happened, that I'd waited basically all my life almost to meet Vinnie Vincent, and flying down there, even still in the back of my mind, had doubts. Is this really going to happen? Is this really going to live up, not just live up to my expectations, but is he really going to come out? And is this really happening? And when he appeared and he came out, and was it well organized? No. Did we have our gripes about the weekend? Yes. We had a whole show about that. But the fact that it happened, and the fact that I got to meet Vinny, and he signed my history book, being the last living member to sign my history book, signing my miniature guitar box set and signing my leg and going and getting that tattooed. And just when I gave Vinny the 2 items and he goes, "What's your third item?" And I go, "Vinny, will you sign me?" And he looked at, and I must have been the first person to do, and other people did it that weekend, but I must have been the first person to do it all weekend, because he looked at me and he stopped and he goes, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Okay." And he's, obviously he signed it really big down my leg. You can see my avatar on FAQ, but I still look back at that and I was like, I can't believe that really happened. So, and I'm glad that I went to Atlanta. I'm glad I met him then, because, as his comeback, came throughout the year, different difficulties have transpired, and I'm glad that I still don't have to check that off my bucket list. So that's my number 1 pick, no doubt about it, is seeing and meeting him, because I'm not only am I a Kiss fan, but I'm a huge Vinny fan as well. And I don't need to meet him again, because I don't want to have a bad experience with him. My time with him one-on-one was great. And he was very cordial and very nice. And he remembered me the next day when I waited in line then for 9 hours the next day, and I met him. His attorney came up to me and goes, "Oh, let's see it," and even though I hadn't gone to get it tattooed because I'd been waiting in line all day, but that's besides the point. But he was very, very nice. And kind of like Julian was saying earlier with Ace Frehley, that he doesn't need to get his picture taken with Ace Frehley again because he has the perfect thing. I don't know if I need to meet Vinny again, because I had a great experience and I don't want anything to take away from that.
Nice. This just leaves me all fuzzy. Daniel, let's go to your next pick.
Yes, in short, I have to agree with the vault thing being an excellent idea and pretty interesting, even though it was expensive. I think that was a great idea and something I wouldn't have expected a few years back. So I think that was great. The Vinny thing I'm going to comment on later on when we move on to another segment. But another big thing for me was actually attending a show at Gröna Lund, the classic grounds, where Kiss played back in '76. And now it was time for Gene Simmons to enter the stage. And it's great these days because it's pretty... it's not like it was in the 90s when you attended a concert. You go to the concert now and you recognize people like from the internet that you haven't met. I'm sure you have had the same experience. And the brotherhood is even... it's even more intense these days than back then, because you know people that you really don't know. It's a kind of a surreal experience when you go there and someone says, "Hello, Daniel." And you go, "Yeah, it's you. We've talked on the internet somewhat, or we've seen each other's podcasts and so on." So I think that thing adds to the experience these days. So I think that's a great thing. And then the concerts, of course, was great, and the response we got from the audience was awesome, and I had a great time. And the set list was really exciting, and the band played well, and Gene was in good mood, and he had fun up there, and we had good weather, warm and nice. We don't have that a lot, so. And finally, when he started playing the riff to Fits Like a Glove, I was in heaven. So yeah. I didn't see that one coming. I tried to stay away from looking at set lists before the show. I think it's more just interesting to go in and not knowing what they're going to play. So when he started playing Fits Like a Glove, it was like, ooh, heaven. That was cool. So I guess that's my number 1 for me, because it's really awesome.
Well, nice. I need to kind of interject there and say that was also my number 1 in one aspect of what you spoke about, and that was the fans. And everywhere I went this year, bumping into people who I'd known online, in many cases going back to when I was first online in 1993 and 94, many of whom I met for the first time, was what this year has been about for me. It will be my number 1 in any year that I get to meet a lot of people that I've known for many years, or a year, or even a month. I mean, there were some people on the cruise that I've just known online very briefly, and it was like, "Hey, you're Julian," or and like, hey, especially when I put the face to a name, which I'm horrible at doing, it was a very cool thing. And it's kind of more important these days, as we've been in the internet era now for 25 years. And it's become kind of a negative in that I prefer when I go to an event and I'm sitting down with someone like Lonnie in Atlanta. It's like, hey Lonnie, how you doing? I mean, we saw each other the year previous, but it was like more real, even though we do these shows together on a regular basis, or going to a show with Ken. It's like, this is like how it should be. It should be personal. It should be, not this fictitious, fake bullshit online keyboard warrior posturing bullshit, which it has become in many cases and continues to be, and it's so tiresome. Whereas the moment you're in person, it's real, and then you get back, and sometimes people are dicks at the moment they're back online, but that happens very rarely.
Sorry,
there are a few. So that was my number one pick for the year, and it had nothing really to do with Kiss. It had something that Kiss had facilitated that goes and will continue longer than Kiss. Once Kiss is done and over, there will continue to be expos. There will continue to be gatherings. There will continue to be bumping into someone who recognizes you from your avatar or from something that you've posted on Facebook, who says, "Hey, are you?" And that is what it's always going to be about. And that's the biggest gift, the gift of Kiss's music and Kiss it will have given me, is people. So that was my number one. Ken, let's get to your next pick before I start getting the violin out and singing. And
you're going to make me cry.
Kumbaya.
So another pick for me, again, no order, really, is being able to buy Kiss tickets for shows next year. I'm going to 2 shows. So one near the beginning of the tour and one near the end of the U.S. Well, I think it is the end of the U.S. leg, the Oakland one. And just to, see them, one, which we believe, one last time, or it'll be 2 last times actually. So, and to do one, meet and greet on the last one. That's what I kind of wanted to do. Probably a couple of years ago, I said, I think the next one I'm going to do a meet and greet when I go see them again. So, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being there with Julian in the front row and, enjoying it.
I'm really sorry.
I'll try not to stand in front of you, though.
I apologize in advance. I hope you don't have that guy who we had at the Judas Priest show next to you.
That guy. I can still see over his head, though. But, I mean, he kept inching in front of me. It's one of those kind of guys. Like, because he couldn't see that through the guy in front of him in the row front of him. So he decided to move in front of me within the same row. I'm like, okay, what are you doing, man? Finally, I just took my spot and didn't let him come back in front of me anymore, but it was kind of ridiculous. But anyway, having said that, I don't expect that to happen in the Kiss show. So again, one last time or 2 last times seeing them, and I'm very happy to have my tickets, and I'm looking forward to both of those shows.
Yeah, not unless there are people who have paid the $7,500 to watch from the pit or directly in front of us, in which case they better be wearing helmets because they'll be getting punched in the fucking heads to get out of the way. Okay. Lonnie, how about you?
Yeah, I had Kiss tickets on my list too. That, just to echo what Ken was saying, just so I'm not going back and saying the same thing later. But buying Kiss tickets for my last 2 shows, again, like you guys, I'm going to see him once in February next year and then once in September next year. So I get to see him close to the beginning and close to the end of 2019. I'm not going to say of the North American tour because I thought they're going to do something around, again, in either secondary markets or lost cities or something. If it's a 3-year tour, don't tell me you're not going to do a run through the States again at some point.
Do you want to go to Australia with me? Go see the band in Australia.
You're going to go to Australia? Are you serious?
You're
thinking about it.
I'm
You're
telling
thinking
you.
about
gosh.
I've already refinanced the house for the tickets that I'm going to.
Jeez.
No shit.
Might as well go all
More.
in, eh?
Yeah. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Well, you
So,
know what? You only live once, or you get killed for doing things.
I might get killed if I say I'm going to go to Australia to see Kiss. So.
Probably.
Yeah. No, but thank you guys. It's cool to be able to go to. We talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago that it's an experience in itself buying Kiss tickets for what might be your last set of Kiss tickets you ever bought. So it was an experience. It was a hit on my bank account, but it's also something that I'm extremely looking forward to, and it's only 2 months away from me and like a month away for Julian to see him. So
Yeah, are you doing a show with your brother?
I'm doing a show in Memphis with my wife and then St. Louis with my brother.
Awesome. Because, of course, he's part of your history, isn't he?
Right, exactly. He introduced me to the band, so it's perfect. I get to see him one more time with my wife and one more time with him, so it's awesome.
All right, so I'm going to throw up my next pick, and now I'm in no order whatsoever. It's just a list of some of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Kiss Expo, and it's the whole expo. It's not just meeting Vinny. It's obviously I had a dealer table. I was able to skip to the top of the line because I just am an asshole. And no, I'd actually missed my number, so they told me that you could just go and jump up there and go in. But, working the table, again, it gave me the opportunity to meet so many people. There were bags. I mean, Lonnie, you saw, well, maybe Becky saw some of the bags of books that people were bringing in and saying, would you mind signing these? And I mean, okay, this one. It was like, holy crap, that kind of brought it back home, how much people have supported me over the years with these numerous projects and repackagings and new additions that I've done, being next to, come on, some pretty freaking cool people had tables in that area where I was located. Podcast Rock City was there. Arian was next door with the Vinnie Vincent t-shirts. It was so cool. I mean, people. And getting roped in at the last minute to do the Q&A for Jeff and Kurt, two guys who I have a great deal of respect for the research that they've done and presented to the KISS Army, to get up on stage with those guys when I've done very similar with my own tour and just get to ask them some questions and them to tell the stories, and I'm just standing up there and I'm not in the audience listening to it. I never did get to see the video that they showed, though. That was a bit of a bummer. But it was awesome.
I didn't either.
And then meeting Vinny. And it was one of the coolest things because, like you, Lonnie, we didn't know. It was
unknown.
It was an act of faith that we booked tickets, that we showed up. I mean, I showed up, and from that first evening, I arrived. And for everyone who tunes into part 2 of this, I talked to Nils. Our first night in Atlanta was, again, about the people. We had dinner at the restaurant in the hotel before they forgot how to serve. And,
awful.
It was fantastic that night, but Arian was there, Nils, and I just forget who else. James was there, and it was just, again, like family coming together, but that was what it was about. The lines didn't matter because I didn't have lines. I mean, I saw the lines and thought that was horrible. But when I actually got one-on-one with Vinny, it was insane. He was just so nice. He was just so kind of relaxed and chill. And he wasn't what I expected. And the photos sucked. The photos were fucking awful, unacceptable garbage. And I can only say thank you to Andy and Joe for doing the gathering so that I ended up with a good picture of myself with Vinny this year. Because the Atlanta one, it would only be a memory. Now I've actually got a photograph to go with it. Atlanta Kiss Expo, Derek Christopher, for everything I've criticized you about during the year, you did at least get Vinny on stage, doing a Q&A, doing a little guitar impromptu with Robert Fleischman. He did at least pull it off. For everything else I can criticize you about, from Memphis, from other things, your Nashville Expo that got canceled before it was even authorized, and maybe even going into February. You did at least get him on stage, and that is to be commended. So
yeah, and we said that back in January too. Say what you want about this or that. At the end of the day, he did produce him,
Yep.
and he was there, and that's something that everyone in attendance still had some doubt in the back of their mind walking in there that day.
Yeah, and Atlanta, come on. Tom Shannon, got to meet him. You know, the guy's put an incredible Kiss My Wax book set out, you know, does the Rockologist now, and has put out some insane product. Jason as well. Oh, my God. I mean, I could just go through Jeff Seuss, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, you know, so many people.
Andrew was there too. You got to meet Andrew for the first time in Atlanta.
I did, and I got to play him an unreleased demo that he'd never heard. And we're just sitting there hunched over with me playing it on my phone. So he got to hear something that few people have gotten to hear. So that was very cool. And then it was just like, well, that was it. All right, Daniel, let's move on to your next one.
Well, you picked pretty much the ones I was thinking about, you know, buying Kiss tickets and that kind of stuff. I actually have a chance to go to 2 concerts as well, one in Sweden and one in Norway. We'll see if I will attend both, but looks like it. Well, I'll take something from left field. Let's see. Well, TV performances. Back in the day, I always refer to the 90s because that's when Kissteria was at its height for me, you know, when you were a kid. I remember waiting to see that TV live performance from Arsenio Hall, if you remember that one from 93. It still is one, yes, it is. It's still one of my favorites of all time, including the makeup era. And this year they lately done quite a few TV shows, and I always enjoy them and think back of the times when you were longing to see one of those because they weren't playing a lot live on TV. And I guess the jury is still out if they're playing live now as well, but at least it looks live. So I think they did some cool stuff this year. Just a few, I guess a month ago or something, they were at the what's his name? The Late Late Show, James Camden or something. That show, do you know? You have no idea?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know his name though. But
yeah, well, he actually joined the band and they had some fun on stage and they did a rendition of Rock and Roll All Night and they've been on Jimmy Fallon, I think, and a few shows. And I think that's kind of cool seeing them rocking it out in a TV studio, mainly because I have so good memories of it from the 90s. But I think it's cool that they still do that kind of stuff. Yeah, because also, it's about the music, man, and live music. I love Kiss live, so
and on
if
TV.
it is live,
so
yeah,
good. All right, Ken, let's move on to your next pick. You're muted.
You're still muted.
You're still muted.
Man.
There you go.
Daniel, is it James Corbin?
Yeah.
Corbin, that's it.
That's it,
okay.
Yeah.
It's past my bedtime. I have no fucking clue what he's talking about.
All right. So another one on my list is that they finally did something right. Universal, the music, and Kiss, I guess, with the release of the solo album box set with the 4, colored vinyl, marbled vinyl, and with the little extras that they did. Well, I mean, Kiss Online did the extra package with the coasters and the T-shirt and so on. But the box set itself is great. I mean, just a heavyweight vinyl, the color, the sleeves are heavyweight. They have the turntable mat on it in there, and then the other little like 12 by 12 the photos of the album covers were in there too, that little that's frameable photos too of the album. So it's I don't know, it was just a very nice package, and hopefully there's more to come like that. Obviously they did the Rock and Roll Over thing, but I hope they do more of those extra special kind of packages like that. But it took a while for them to get it right, but they did it. They finally did it. So hopefully it sold well enough for them to do some more, plan for more down the road.
Yeah, that was on my list, so I get to scratch that one off immediately. But think about the vinyl that has officially been released this year, starting with Destroyer Red Vinyl. That was early in the year, right? And then the solo album box set, they absolutely knocked that out of the park. I mean, I'm surprised. I didn't get to complain about anything with Destroyer. I know some people complained that it wasn't solid red, and there were, shut up. It was really cool. It was well done. Same with the solo box. I mean, some people actually complained about the differences in the vinyl color variations just because of the production technique. I mean, I'm kind of mixed on that, but it gives you an opportunity to trade with people and maybe make new friends. How about that? Look at a positive out of a perceived negative. But that whole product, and I bought the Kiss Online package with the T-shirt, the badges, and the coasters, and thought it was extremely well done. The Rock and Roll Over was, again, just absolutely stunning with how it did look. It really exceeded expectations, and I'm glad to see them reacting maybe to some of these pirate counterfeit pieces of shit that have been released. The Love Gun and first Kiss album on Pi, and EMI for the first album, which are just garbage, fuzzy pieces of shit. And now Universal is doing it right. You're paying a premium, but you're getting the good quality. So, again, that was on my list. Lonnie, let's go to you.
Yeah, the vinyl is definitely on my list too. I haven't gotten to open up my Rock and Roll Over. I have to wait till the 25th of December, I'm told, to open that. So you just buy what you want. You don't ever let me buy you anything. Like, oh, okay, well, wrap this up and give it to me. Anyway, the vinyl is definitely on my list as well. But for me, on a personal thing, if you've watched the show throughout the year, you know that I moved this year when we moved into a new house. And for me, a really cool Kiss thing for me in 2018 was decorating my new Kiss room and painting the walls metallic silver and hanging up my gold records and my different memorabilia on the walls and making my see, there it is. You're just teasing me right now. You're decorating my new Kiss room and making it the way I wanted to, and then having it be just this overwhelming shock and awe experience walking into it. So I gotta wait till the 25th. I don't know what to tell you. So it looks very nice. So for me, that was definitely an experience, taking these teal walls and painting them silver and transforming what probably was like a kid's playroom or something at one point and turning it into this.
Still is a kid's playroom.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I work in the security industry and I have cameras in there now. And if even if my wife walks in there and I'm not there, I get an alert on my phone. Hey, what are you doing? The motion detector went off. Why are you in the Kiss room? Get out of there. Don't try to sell my stuff.
So I think you're basically guaranteed that she will never go in there, because why would she want to?
Oh, yeah, unless she's trying. Well, it's to keep her out of there. Keep her trying to sell stuff, So, he won't notice this tour book's gone. So it's great. I absolutely love it. So it's one of the biggest things I did this year was transforming that room into the way it is now.
Oh, congratulations to you and Becky on buying a home. That's wonderful. You obviously don't live in San Francisco. I hate you.
I do not.
All right, Daniel, moving on. Give us another pick.
Well, we have to mention one of the great concerts this year, and I'm thinking about the Cruise. And I'm not thinking about Kiss. The Bruce Kulick set list and the concert, of course, is one of the highlights of this year, much as it was last year. Bob, unfortunately, couldn't be on the cruise for some reasons that I don't know if they have been disclosed really, but there was something with a contract or something, yeah. But Bruce managed to find some guys that really could deliver the goods. Delivering the goods, yeah. Judas Priest there for you. But I think that concert was great. I'm sure you saw it live, Julian, so you can maybe tell us a little bit more. But from the outside, most fans weren't at that concert, so we had only seen the clips. And from that, it seems to have been really good concerts, and they really dug deep into they found some rare tracks to perform that we haven't heard a lot. And I just wish they could get the Revenge era lineup together and play some of those songs. Man, it would rock, man. But I guess this is the best we can get at this point. And Bruce really performed well. Played some of those solos like King of the Mountain, stuff like that sounded awesome. So I think that's a highlight for people who weren't able to attend a lot of, expos or the cruise or the Vault. I mean, that concert really stands out for me.
I think it was a gift for people like you and me who became fans with Asylum, maybe Lonnie for his love of revenge. The non-makeup era continues to be respected and represented by Bruce doing these shows. So Bruce knocked it out of the park. I think the only thing I hope for maybe in a post-Kiss world is Eric and Bruce teaming up in a band called Revenge and taking that non-makeup era band catalog. That means Eric having to perform the previous Eric's stuff, which he can more than adequately do. Come on, he's Eric fucking Singer. He can play anything. I think those two could go out and into theaters and just do what they've done on the cruise, what Bruce has done on the cruise, and play the hell out of that catalog and remind you how great it is. And pulling out stuff like, Sword and Stone. I mean, who would have thought it? I mean, I was sitting up on the level above the stage, the pool deck stage, just watching them do that Carnival of Souls medley with my jaw just getting further and further down. And I'm not a fan of that album now. I loved it when it came out, but it hasn't aged well for me. But watching them play it, hearing them play it, hearing Todd sing those Kiss songs was just absolutely stunning. Watching Bruce, I mean, I was taking photos as well with a super zoom, and I just ended up watching him through that, his hands playing guitar, and just how effortless he is. He's the ambassador of Kiss because he respects everything about its history, but he does present his own era so well so that we never forget that it's not just about the makeup. There was a whole different band and he was a part of it. So, bless him, because he won't let us forget. He will not let that lineup be forgotten. He won't let that music be forgotten. And I hope that, he keeps getting invited back on the cruise however he wants to do it. If it's with Bob, great. I've watched the DVDs of that. I can kind of do without some of the Paul 78 stuff in favor of hearing more of the forgotten stuff. You make me rock hard. Holy shit. I mean, Turn on the Night. I saw him in Indy as well, so it's really fun. Ken, when you come off mute, let's go to your next pick.
I'm off mute.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah, believe it or not. The next one is I guess a compilation in a way. All the books that kind of came out this year. I know you mentioned a little bit. You mentioned like Tom Shannon's books, Kiss My Wax books, the Lynn Christopher.
Lynn Goldsmith.
Lynn Goldsmith. That's a bad slip there, but Lynn Goldsmith book that's a very nice book. And then Julian's books too. I gotta mention the Crazy Nights book. What's it called now? I have it. I have that and the Gene Simmons supplement. Plus the Kiss Classified book also was a very good one too. And I may be missing more. I'm sure there's more that I'm missing, but all the books.
Shit, which reminds me, Kiss Army Spain put out the.
There you go.
I've got to follow up on that email because they put out a photo book from the European tour, and I forgot to get back to them on that. So.
Yeah, so all the books that came out, we keep getting something, which is cool. I'm hoping for more. We have definitely. I know there's the Magic book. Ross Radley's book, which I'm very much looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be fantastic.
There better be.
And whatever else comes after that, hopefully there's more to come.
Yep. hopefully Kiss Free Volume 3 to tie in with the tour. Gene, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. Lonnie, let's go to your next pick.
For me, my next one is something that I didn't necessarily do, but my buddy Joe Dell did for me when I was in California. And he all of a sudden decided, hey, I'm going to go drive to Toronto to meet Peter Criss this week. What do you want me to bring? And I'm like, crap, I'm out of town. And my dad went to my in-laws are actually in California too. My dad went to my in-laws' house and got my box set out of their house, brought it to his house. Joe went and got it from my dad, and Joe took it all the way to Toronto to have Peter Criss sign it for me and bring it back. So that happening, even though I didn't do it, but Joe getting that done for me and having the last signature on that box set. So I had Vinny to sign it this year and Peter to sign it this year, getting every member on that box set. It's one of, if not the favorite piece of Kiss merchandise that I own, signed by all living members. So thanks, Joe, for taking care of me as you always do.
Joe's a good guy.
He's the best.
Do you have a Peter Criss autograph tattoo?
I do. I met Peter one time. He did Chicago back in 2000. He did like a horror convention in Chicago back in 2012. And I went up there and I have the Peter Criss Rock and Roll Over picture inside of my right calf. And he signed that. He signed underneath that for me that day. And he signed a couple other things for me. And I didn't bring the box set to that because at the time I only had like Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick and maybe Tommy Thayer on it at the time. And it wasn't like a priority thing that, oh, I got to get Peter on this. I mean, I didn't even have Gene and Paul at that point. It was like a pipe dream of getting all of them on there at that point in time. So I didn't even bring it with me. And, I should have brought that. I should have brought more things because I've only met Peter the one time, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I do have the Peter tat to answer Julie's question.
Very cool. All right, my next item's very easy, and it's one of the best interviews I've ever done. It's one of the toughest interviews because we weren't able to do it in one sitting. It took about 8 sittings to do, and that is Michael James Jackson. He just turned out to be one of the most fascinating characters that I've spoken to in recent years. He is just so relaxed, so intelligent, so expressive, that it really could have turned into an extremely long conversation had I not kept the focus just on the Kiss era. And he's someone who I think actually would make a very good book. Nothing to do about Creatures and Lick It Up, those just being a single chapter in his whole career, because he has an awful lot more experiences of the bands and artists that he's worked with, how he got into the industry. But, for all of the interviews that I've done, he will stand out as one of the most fascinating, one of the most rewarding, one of the most, I can't even find the word to really describe it. And then being invited to interview him on stage at the Indie Expo was just a really cool personal experience. I mean, I was shitting kittens on stage because I'm not a public speaker type person. I do not like being in front of an audience. I was doing the same in Atlanta when I was on stage with Kurt and Jeff. I do not like that. That is way out of my comfort zone. And sitting there having anxiety attacks, interviewing Michael James Jackson for about 50, I think there are only 50 people or so in Indy, was very stressful, but it was also very fun. It was a great personal challenge to get up there and then turn it over to the fans to ask their questions, and they came up with some really, really good questions. And thanks to Mike Brunn for filming that so that I can actually go back and rip off those questions to ask him if I get another chance. So very, very cool gentleman. So I'm on the cruise, had a nice chat with him before he did his Q&A. Again, a high point of my year. So, Daniel, let's move on to you.
Well, I think we have to mention this thing called the KissFAQ Podcast, because
the what?
I think that's this thing we're doing right now. I think it's one of the highlights for at least me when it comes to my Kiss fandom at this point, and I'm sure it's important for you too as well. I remember when I suggested we should start this a few years back, I sent a PM to Julian, and he said, "Well, what the heck? Let's
fault.
try it."
It's his fault. I didn't want to do it.
Daniel's
It's yours fault.
Let's try it. And it started off a bit shaky, but since then we've improved, and I always look forward to these kind of discussions. And it's really fun just listening to you guys and be a small part of it, and see that there are people around the world that are even crazier than I am when it comes to Kiss. I thought I was a nut case, but I guess you can be even more into the band than I am. So it's really interesting to hear all of you guys, and you're at points you're so close to the band and you meet them, and since you're over there on the other side of the Atlantic, it's fun to follow you and see what you do, and see how you interact with the guys in the band and the people around. And so the KissFAQ podcast is important to me, and it seems like it's important to a lot of other people as well. So that's just fun. Yeah.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. I mean, it's, obviously having access to events is a big difference as someone who lived overseas previously and missed out on an awful lot of things coming back to the States to live, and all of a sudden things are within reach, gives us a lot of opportunities that some people don't ever get. So, the podcast thing is on my list, and I'm just going to weigh in there as well. I didn't specify the KissFAQ podcast because for me, the KissFAQ podcast has given me access into other podcasts as well. And in many cases, it's like a brotherhood, that there are a lot of people doing similar things with a similar outlook. I know some of you guys have done other podcasts as well, on other shows, and been a part of a greater community. And that's really what it kind of has become for me. The Rock and Pod Expo is a great example of podcasts coming together for kind of a bigger picture, a greater good. I know in 2017, Lonnie and poor Becky came out for that. And Mark came down from Canada for that, and that was the first time we ever met. But we also got to meet Matt Porter. We got to meet Ken Mills. You got to meet Gary Schaller, Lee McCormick, Joe Polo. I mean, again, an endless, like Craig Smith, endless list
Jody.
of people. Yeah, Jody Havnot. Guys from non-Kiss podcasts as well. It really is, again, about the people factor. And at this year's Rock and Pod Expo, which is on my list, again, getting to see a lot of these same people who we'd seen the year previous, but now we've done shows with each other, crossover. The guys from the Ages of Rock podcast, Alan Tate, Bill Alge, and Dennis Talbot. There is so much crossover happening, so much cross-pollination, that, again, it's a community out there celebrating not just Kiss, but music. And the new guys on the block, I've got to do quite a few episodes with Greg Troyan and Steve Smith of the Lipstick Panel, talking about Kiss albums, and they do shows about other bands as well. That's been a high point of my year, going on other shows, doing our shows, continuing to just get together with fellow fans and talk about Kiss when it's with Daniel or Lonnie or Ken or Mark or Alex or whomever, is wonderful. Talking to other people about other music as well, and even just Skyping and talking music, and it never gets broadcast, which is probably just as well. It's really grown into something that I never would have expected, being bullied into doing a podcast for the KissFAQ by Daniel, Nigel, and Alex. But it is all Daniel's fault, and thank goodness he's made the suggestion, because I probably would have still been saying no. And I would have missed out on an awful lot of good times, good conversations, good point of views by not doing it. So, yeah, those are two items on my list that I get to scratch out in one go. Ken, let's get to your next item.
Yeah, that's on my list too. Kiss podcast.
Yeah, I'm running out of stuff because
and the friends we've made doing these podcasts, and people, other kind of somewhat like-minded people to a degree. At least as far as being Kiss fans, or passionate about Kiss itself. yeah, it's a big thing for me. And yeah, I've appeared on a couple other podcasts, and it wouldn't have happened had I not been on this podcast here. So I'm thankful for that, and I've enjoyed the however many years we've been doing this now. It's been a great ride, and it's gonna, I think, continue for a while. So it's a cool thing. Otherwise, on my list, I guess, is I don't know what else. I mean, I had on my list this about Vinny's. I wrote this down. Vinny's trials and tribulations, or whatever. Just to keep it, him coming back and getting it back in the news in the Kiss world, and keeping it interesting. There's always something when he's something going on with Vinny. You're going to get something interesting. So it's kept me interested. It's unfortunate some of the things that have happened, but I'm glad that people like Julian and Lonnie were able to get out there and meet him. At least get that done. And I don't know what's to come with him, but hopefully music. I hope somehow he's able to manage to release some music, or new music in the future. So Vinny,
or the episode,
Vinny,
or
the
episode of Decibel Geek featuring Vinny Vincent.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That'll be a must hear. A must tune in.
And
highly unlikely to happen. Well,
highly unlikely.
I've only got 2 items left on my list. So, Lonnie, hopefully you still have something that someone else hasn't covered.
I'm running low. We've kind of had some crossovers. I had Ace Frehley's solo album on my list, and colored vinyl, which we've talked about. I had a different Vault experience than what you guys did, where I didn't purchase a Vault, but I did go to a Vault experience. And it was, it ranks high on my list too. Getting to meet Gene, getting to kind of help out with behind the scenes stuff with Keith, and I'll echo what Julian said earlier. Everything that Keith did this year to get the Vault into the fans' hands, he did an extraordinary job and worked his tail off all year long. And then the next day, Ace did a little private show at a restaurant in St. Louis, and getting to have some one-on-one time with Ace and getting my picture with him and talking with him, and him, signing a few things, and just watching Jody tune his guitar for him, was just a surreal experience, just to kind of stand there in the corner while that's going on, and Ace showing Jody, no, this is how I like it, and this is the way I want you to do it. And it's like, really kind of behind the scenes stuff that most people never get to see or experience. So that was really, really cool. And at the end, when we had our pictures taken with Ace, and then they went and got them developed real quick, and then they came back to us, oh, now Ace is going to sign these pictures for you, and just write down your name, and Ace will, obviously just copy your name and write it on there too, Lonnie or whatever. And he looks at and I wrote my name, capital L and then lowercase O-N-N-I-E. And Ace looks at it. He goes, "What's that say?" And I go, "Lonnie." And he goes, "Oh." He goes, "That's why I write in all caps." He goes, "Okay, good for you." It's just something Ace really said to me I'll never forget. So that's kind of sums up the rest of my list, actually. We've kind of had some crossover with everything else. But getting the one-on-one time with Ace and Gene during that whole experience was really cool as well.
All right, I've only got 2 more items on mine, and let's see if I can do this without breaking it. It is...
Oh, yeah.
The Paul Stanley guitar on the cruise. I would never buy a signed instrument from the band. I do have a Tommy Epiphone that I play every day, and I'm going to probably rub off the inscription. But writing so much for Paul to write was priceless. Watching him actually focus on writing everything that I'd written down on that guitar, and having him spell my name wrong to match what Gene had spelled on the vault. And Keith was standing next to us at the same time, and he was trying to tell, Paul, this is Julie, he's the guy who's done all those books and shit, and Paul's Paul's tongue's nearly sticking out the side of his mouth while he's focusing on writing. He could care less, or, he was so focused on what he was doing. But it's not just the guitar and, having an instrument that I will play that Paul signed for me with a dedication. It was the Q&A at that event that you only got to attend if you bought a strap or a mic or the guitar. It was just one of the coolest events I've ever been to, with Paul just being so relaxed and being so introspective. It was Paul, to me, seemed to have kind of turned off the filter. And when he was talking about narcissism and the difference between that and loving yourself, I just thought was incredibly kind of a deep look into his psyche. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Again, I just thought it was a different sort of look. It wasn't like the party line, the cookie cutter responses. It wasn't, the questions weren't filtered. So I got the mic and I was able to ask him a question, and he gave an answer and segued into something that he wanted to talk about related to that, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. And yeah, I'm the guy who asked him the question about the Wicked Lester reel and whether he had baked it yet or whether he'd transferred it yet. And then he talked about baking reels and transferring stuff, and then said why he was messing around with stuff like that for his book. So at that point, we found out about the book and what was going to be happening in 2019 with that. But all of the other topics and all of the questions that my fellow fans asked at that event were really good questions. It was, there was no, asking about rock and roll all night or stupid shit that we hear too often on radio shows or interviews. It was just a very humble, approachable guy, relaxed and at peace in his own skin, talking, which was just so much fun that day. And also to have Nils there with me, and Mike and other people that I know. Again, a very kind of it was special. It was again, it was exclusive, so you felt you were doing something fun, and that's the only time I'm going to do that sort of buy-in. Unless I buy the Tommy signed FFO Explorer, which I'm still on the fence about, but we'll have to see what happens closer to when Oakland happens in September next year, whether I can afford to do that, because I'm very tempted. That's a Pete Willis guitar, so I can always say, that's not a Tommy Thayer guitar, that's Pete Willis. That's Okay, to win the final KissFAQ podcast of the year, the Gene Simmons Vault Supplement, including a 5x7 signed Gene Simmons and Eric Carr photo, Gene Simmons print from the LA Vault, and a guitar pick. Email kissfaq@outlook.com. What was Julian's favorite event of 2018? Again, what was Julian's favorite event of 2018? Put that in an email to the address, and a random drawing will be held. Thank you. So that was one of my last ones. And then the final item on my list was Kiss Indoor Show on a cruise. I finally did a cruise. I finally crossed that little check mark off my list of seeing Kiss perform live on a cruise. I saw them do a set list which, compared to other years, sucked, but comprised of 20 songs that I love. So I got to see a show where I could look across the audience, see Andy Moyen and his wife-to-be, his fiancée, and see other people that I've known for many years online, some whom I've met, and to be at the same show as them. Again, it goes back to people. It goes back to kind of an exclusive event. I don't know if I'll do Kiss Cruise 9. I don't know if I can afford that. But I've finally done it. I've done a Kiss cruise. And while I didn't see much of Kiss on the boat other than on stage, I saw Kiss on a cruise. I've seen them in just about every sort of venue, from stadium to casino. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm done. If that's it in 2019, so be it. 2018, like 2017, has been an incredible year. Who would have thought that this late into a band's life cycle that we would still be able to get this excited about so many different things? Daniel, do you have any items left on your list?
Well, it's hard to follow up on that one, but I'll just mention that I think it's fun and not fun, but it's good to see that they seem to get along again, Ace, Paul, and Gene, to a higher degree than previous years. And when Gene brought Ace for the tour of Australia, I think it was a awesome thing, and he joined him on stage and so forth and so on. But it's just clear that they get along, and for decades they didn't. But now they seem to have come to the understanding that, well, we have had our differences, but let the past be the past and let's move on. And I think that's just great to see. Pierre is still, you know, he seems to be a little bit on the side, so to speak. He's not at the same. He doesn't seem to have the same relationship to Gene and Paul, but at least Ace, Gene, and Paul seem to have finally, you know, understood that they are in this for life, and they should be able to get along, and now they do. So I think that's just great to see from a fan's perspective. It's nice to see.
Have you been reading Ace's interviews recently?
No. What is it?
I think you have some catching up to do. It's getting colorful. Ken, any last items on your list or any final thoughts?
Yeah, no real last items. I left off another book, but the book didn't come out. It was, Big John's book. It's still we're still waiting for it.
Waiting. I hope so.
Yeah, I know I put money into it, so hopefully it comes out, during the beginning of the year or something like that. I'm guessing it will. But yeah, nothing else on the list. Actually, I think we hit everything. So, I don't know if we were gonna talk about the koal or not. Julian, the koal.
Yep, we'll get to those in one moment after Lonnie gets his opportunity to wrap up any of his items.
That was it. We've had a little bit of crossover, and my list has kind of been knocked out and just echoing what you guys are saying.
Yep. So,
but coming back to Ace, I think because he isn't a part of the tour, I guess his mindset might be a bit off these days, but he'll come back, when he gets over it. But of course, he's disappointed. So I think that might be what makes him say stuff at this point. He will get over it.
Okay, so take us into your lump of coal. The one thing in 2018 that did not work for you, that was a failure, that didn't meet your expectations.
Well, with all respect, I have to talk about a thing that you mentioned, the Vinnie Vincent thing. I'm sure it was great for you to be there, but from a fan's perspective, from the outside, I would rather have him stay away from the limelight. He seems, from what I've seen, he seems so weird. And he wasn't able to play. And he said some crazy stuff when he was up there with Gene. It didn't work really well. They were, I love you, Gene. What the hell are you talking about? Even Gene seemed uncomfortable. And unfortunately, he didn't deliver the way I was hoping for. It would have been great if he'd went up on stage and knocked it out of the park, playing some solos from Kiss albums and the Invasion albums. That would have been great. But what he did now seemed like an old man. Well, I guess he's kind of old, but that had lost all his chops, weren't able to do anything. And he just was there like something you put up on stage. Hey, look at this thing. It was great 30 years ago. Now take him back down from stage. That's what it looked from the outside. So I would rather not have seen that. But I'm sure it's great when you see him in person and you can, that's a different thing. But for me, erase that from my mind. I don't want to remember that. Yes.
All right, Ken.
Wipe it out.
Ken, what is your
That was a good one.
your lump of coal?
I
for the
didn't.
year?
That wasn't on my list though. Mine is the fact that there was no new Kiss music or new Kiss video released this year. I don't count the repress, Destroyer and the solo album, Rock and Roll Over, that stuff. I mean, new Kiss, newly recorded, at least one song. Didn't even get that. So, Chief Kiss did. I wish they would have added one new song to the Kiss World thing that they're releasing, like on the vinyl or something. That would have been nice, but
Yeah,
oh well.
Don't
Missed
touch my
opportunity there.
ascot as a bonus track.
Yeah. No, I want new music. So anyway, or the video. Like, we've been waiting for the Kissology 4 thing forever. There's plenty of, video out there yet to be released, and I just don't get it. I just don't get why. I mean, it's always sells well. The video definitely sells well. So I don't know what the problem there is. But that's my lump of coal for the year.
So you don't appreciate all the material that a particular collector has former hoarder has leaked to certain Japanese and European labels this year. All that shit that came out didn't make up for Kiss releasing it officially. Because I'm sure that person, who we won't name today, maybe one day, would love to know that would love to know that you appreciate their shenanigans and lack of integrity.
No, I mean, I want new official releases. That's what I want.
Ditto. Lonnie, what's your lump of coal?
My lump of coal, and it's kind of nitpicky, but the way Kiss came on Dancing with the Stars or whatever it was, and played a song, and then the host announced, well, you're going on your end of the road tour. Like, Paul Stanley didn't even get to announce it. And he goes, yeah, that's right. And then that was it. And we didn't hear anything for several weeks or a month until shows were officially announced. I've never heard of a band announcing a tour on national television and there being no tour dates. I thought they really could have taken the opportunity of being on national television, announcing they're going on their end of the road tour, and had a much bigger, larger scale of promotion right off the bat with that, instead of waiting until like Halloween week to announce all those shows. And we talked about it on the show at the time. It's just like, well, what are we doing? I've never heard of a tour being announced and there not being any dates. So it was really kind of bizarre the way that was handled, and maybe the intention always was to wait until Halloween week and right before the cruise and that, and they just took the opportunity of being on national television, of getting asked to do Dancing with the Stars or something. Would you guys want to do this? And they said, yes, we'd like to do that. And hey, I guess while we're on TV and doing this, we might as well say that we might as well pump our chest a little bit and let people know that are watching this, that we're going out on tour next year. So I just thought the way that was handled and the way there was this just dead period in between was really kind of bizarre. But, I'm not on the inner circle. I don't know all the inner workings of it, but I just thought that was mishandled a little bit. And, maybe someone will put me in my place and say, no, it was handled this way for a particular reason, but it just seemed odd.
Yep. No, I agree with the tour, but then again, my opinion of how the tour has been handled, from its announcement to the tickets going on sale right as cruisers were setting off on cruise, and even though we were given cruise codes which had very good seats that some of us weren't able to use. So, for example, yet again, you have me getting fucked, not being able to use my cruise code and basically choosing. Let's make that very clear. I chose to buy the platinum pre-sale tickets because I wanted good fucking seats for the last run. And every time I'd done a Kiss Army pre-sale before, they were fucking bullshit tickets, absolute garbage. And I wasn't gonna, wait and hope that I got better. So the whole way that this the cruise and the tour kind of worked together at the late announcement, they shouldn't have done anything with the tour dates going on sale anywhere near the cruise. It was just a complete clusterfuck for me, and I'm sure others were affected who maybe don't have as big mouths as me. So I'm still, I spent the money. I clicked yes. My lump of coal for the year, though, is the Kiss Cruise itself. I'm glad I did it. I'm thrilled. But in terms of Kiss, it's almost like it shouldn't be called the Kiss Cruise, because all you do is see Kiss once. It's Ace is there doing 3 shows. Bruce is there doing 2 shows. Other bands are there, and you barely see Kiss. It's Kiss is such a small part of it. It's more about your friends than it is about Kiss. I saw Tommy Thayer walking throughout the boat, and I know someone posted photos of other members of the band, but they're so busy selling guitars, mics, straps, bass experiences, vaults, snare drums, cymbals, used cock socks. It's all become an exclusive buy-in emporium rather than an experience. And then to have the audacity to come on stage, and here are some songs that we're rehearsing for the tour, where the historic kind of reason that people have gone on these cruises is because it is not the regular tour. That really grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your fancy.
Again, as much as I enjoyed the show and being there with friends and being in the same room as people I've known, as being on the cruise seeing it, it really was laughable. Everything is an added buy-on. It's nickel and diming. And I think we're going to see that on the tour. We already are, actually. When you think about these meet and greets and how they've been restructured. Again, I agree with how they've been restructured. So it's kind of, you can't win with me. I'm going to play devil's advocate against both sides of the question. The Kiss Cruise was wonderful. The price is absolutely insane for what you ultimately end up with. Again, Ace, the criticisms are there, and they're fair. The people who have criticized Ace for not being rehearsed, and then him saying, well, he couldn't get a good internet connection to download the songs to relearn them. I mean, you just can't make this up. I had those songs on my fucking iPod in my room because I was rehearsing some of those for the jam session. Bruce Kulick being brought on and knocking it out of the park. There's zero criticism of Bruce. And don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing any one of these bands because, again, even from those first bum notes of Save Your Love, I was geeking out and enjoying every minute of it. But again, the excuses of why it wasn't as good as it could have been, especially when you now look back and realize that they were brought on because Kiss weren't going to do anything interesting or special or out of the box, bothers me. And that we still haven't gotten things that were promised to us on the cruise. I mean, it's like you still haven't gotten the things that were promised to you from Atlanta. So does that make Kiss and Sixthman the same as the promoter from Atlanta in not providing the things that they couldn't provide enough signed items? And again, it's not because I care about the items, because mine will go straight up on eBay, because I couldn't give a fuck about a set of cards with 4 cards signed with smudgy signatures. But it's the fact that all of these kind of things are afterthoughts, not done properly, and are very, very expensive to do. Really kind of bums me out. So I hope in Kiss Cruise 9 that they rethink some of the things that they've done this year in order to make it better. Again, I'm very much on the fence about whether I would go, as much as I would love to see people that I've met during this Kiss Cruise 8 and those whom I didn't. You know, people skipped this year. Yeah, you picked the right year to skip, probably. But are Kiss going to do anything different? I think they need to make more of a contract with people about what they will get on the cruise. If it is, you're on a boat and you're getting one show, I think they need to say in advance, we're not doing any rare tracks. We're not doing that anymore. We're done with that. And let people then decide. But they won't. I bet they won't have the guts to say that their set lists are done that they're not interested in doing any rare songs, making it special, that it is no different than the tour. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't regret doing it. I'm really glad that I did, but that is the lump of coal that remains stuck in my shoe. I feel it every time I step, that it was not an interesting set list. It was not an interesting show in many ways. When you go from the previous year of having a tank and having rare cuts to having really a rather bland set. The laser show was cool. But, the greatest hits, a taste of what the end of the road tour is. And it doesn't change my opinion of the end of the road tour. I'm going to look forward to that set. Again, I love every single one of those songs. I enjoyed seeing them live. I just needed one fucking deep cut at the end there. And it wouldn't have been a lump of coal then. I wouldn't have bitched about not seeing the band because they were busy selling paintings. So that's my lump of coal. We have one last question to address before we wrap this up and move on to the guys in part 2. What do you look forward to the most in 2019, Daniel?
Well, of course, the concerts and the tour. But other than that, I don't really know what will happen. So I'll have to guess. Of course, you're looking forward to, like Ken said, new music. Well, we know that won't happen. But maybe some sort of video. And I would rather see some video from back in the day than from this tour. So hopefully they'll do something with that. I mean, as always, there are loads of opportunities for them. We'll see if they take one of them or if they do it the easy way. Another thing that I've been missing from the band is I thought of it when you talked about books. I really like this one. That came out a few years ago, and it's called Nothing to Lose, 72 to 75. I was sure they were going to continue this because this was a great success from what I understand. What about 76 to 79 and 80 to 85 and so on? I thought that they were going to do something like that. So that would be something that I would enjoy, a new book from Kiss with. I love this format. It's much the same as this great book that you all have. Plan some interviews that we haven't read before. And, it's not a difficult thing for the band to do. I mean, they have all the right connections. They have fans that would do it for them even. They just have to put their names on the cover and release it. So why aren't they doing something in that vein? So I would like to see a new book, a new old video, a video of vintage stuff. And they've been talking about, didn't Tommy mention an Asylum concerts a year back that they had, and you have some semi-pro shot films from the Revenge Club tour from Hollywood, and you have a pretty good video from Japan in '95. So let's see something from that era. I'm not sure it will happen, but at least you can hope for it. So I'm looking forward for the tour, of course, and then it's just a guess what we get other than that.
All right,
but
Ken.
Music.
Yeah, I have to agree with Daniel about the new music, of course, but that's not going to happen. But the concerts definitely is the thing I'm most looking forward to, the end of road tour and all that happens with that and whatever else comes out of that, I guess. Otherwise, the music or the video releases that are a possibility would be a good thing. Maybe they can do something, a video release maybe at the end of the tour or end of the US leg, end of the year with, maybe they can finally get to that Kissology 4 and then also add a video of the end of the road on there too. And combine it with all the first volumes. So one huge box set. It doesn't have to be Kissology 4, just Kissology End of the Road edition. Kissology End of the Road edition has everything from all the Kissologies before, all a new video of the current, shows from the year. So something like that I would look forward to.
Awesome. Lonnie?
I'm looking forward to hopefully another compilation of greatest hits to buy, because we don't have enough of those. I mean, Kiss World, that's fine, but let's get another one pumped out before the end of 2019. I mean, come on already. Let's do that.
Kiss World 2.
Kiss World 2. With
That
this
could
time,
actually
it's going to
happen.
have dudes. Oh yeah, it can actually happen. Because I could see them totally doing something when they go over to Europe in June, releasing something for that side of the world, and kind of like they did with Greatest Kiss, actually, when they did Europe, they released Greatest Kiss in '96 with one track listing, and then they did the Lost Cities tour in '97. They came back with a different track listing for Greatest Kiss. I could see him actually doing something like that. I mean, all joking aside, I was joking around. I'm doing another Greatest Hits package, but they actually could do it. But that's not what I'm really looking forward. I want them to continue this colored vinyl thing that they've started. I'd like to see some more releases like that in the coming year, because those have been impressive in 2018. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the tour. I'm looking forward to the shows that I'm going to. And I'll echo what Daniel and Ken said as well, that I would like some sort of Kiss video, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it, release. Something. I mean, Kiss is one of the most visual bands of all time. And yeah, they gave us Kiss Rocks Vegas a couple of years ago, but you have to beg them to put out something on DVD or whatever you want to call it. I mean, and there's so much footage still available, supposedly. Put it out there. And, I think their videos always sell well. Like I said, they're the most visual band ever. Put something out there to promote the tour on, whether it be Kissology 4, whether you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. I would eat it up. Other fans would eat it up. Just do it.
No, maybe now we've seen all this audio leaked, the video will start leaking too. That would be interesting. All right, what do I want to see in 2019? I'm looking forward to my Kiss shows in 2019 as well, even though I think I've already seen the set list and the costumes. It'll just be a different venue. I can't wait to go to Vancouver and see that first show. I'm really looking forward to it. But what is the thing in 2019 that I think I'm most looking forward to? That is Ace Frehley. That is a video release of the 78 solo album plus some additional tracks that he goes in and he properly films it, he properly records it, he properly rehearses and practices for it, and gives us that. For Kiss, I could say I'm looking forward to, I would love to see this, I'd love to see that, but it's since 2007, the last issue of Kissology. The magazines have dropped off in frequency. They haven't even remastered the remasters, even though they've put out the K40 vinyl editions. I just don't have any hopes anymore for Kiss or Universal, who controls the catalog, or whomever controls the catalog, doing anything with them. So I like the idea that Lonnie said of continuing to do the colored vinyl reissues, but is it something that I look forward to? No, give me Ace. Give me Ace doing his 78 solo album. Maybe Peter can pull it together and get his release done as well. Those two things I would really love. And you know what? Vinnie Vincent, surprise me. Some new music. That'd be fantastic. I'm going to start holding my breath now, and I will pass out before the end of this show. But, no. And anything I get in 2019, I don't see how it can top 2017 or 2018. Go to it. Prove me wrong. Let's see what you can do. All right, that's it for today, I think. I'm going to do a quick intro into our second part of this, which, if you've made it all the way through this rather long episode, we've got another hour of people talking about the same things we've just talked to. I was joined by Bill, by Brad, by Nils, by Alex, who shared their top kisses for 2018, their lumps of coal, and their hopes for the next year. So join us for that part too, which will be up very soon after this. But for now, from Lonnie, from Daniel, from Ken and myself, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, happy birthday, Peter, since today is, of course, your birthday. Thank you, everyone, for watching our show in 2018. We hope that we were not your lump of coal for the year. We'll see you in 2019. Thanks for joining us. Wherever you join us, leave us a comment and see if I said anything I shouldn't have so that I can edit the show after the fact. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.